In this video, I'll walk you through setting up the Sony FDR-X3000 action camera for live streaming using the HDMI output. The first step is going to be selecting the video mode. So selecting the menu option and then mode. Video is the first entry here at the top. The next setting is to do with the video mode format and resolution. So entering the menu and selecting the bottom left entry. So here we have a format option, and here we're going to select HD, which allows us to use 60 frames per second or 50 if you're in a per country. And also it reduces power compared to the 4K mode. So let's select HD here. And then let's select the resolution. So if you're somewhere in low light, you might want to use 1080p 40, which allows it to use a slower shutter speed and capture more light. Otherwise, in good lighting conditions, select 1080p 60. There are a few more settings to walk through in this menu. So this one is the type of stabilization, and the best one is active stabilization, the one that I currently have selected at the top here. The next entry is sort of the crop factor for the camera, and this is the widest view. You can make it medium or narrow, but for live streaming, you generally want to have it on wide. This option here is zooming, or rather it enables the zoom option, so keep it on. I believe this is auto rotation for the screen. I keep it off. Exposure compensation if you need to make the image brighter or darker. I'm not sure about this one. Then you have auto white balance. I keep it on auto. You can also select manual white balance. Auto seems to work pretty well. The color profile, pretty much everyone I believe is using vivid on this camera. Neutral looks very washed out and gray. So let's keep it on vivid. This is a built-in mic. This setting is for noise reduction for wind. It seems to work pretty well. However, when you turn it on, it only allows very high-pitched noises to make it through. It removes bass, everything sounds a bit tinny, so I would recommend keeping it off unless it's very windy. So when you have the zooming option enabled, when you're in this top level menu, you can use these buttons to zoom in and then to zoom out. And you can see that it's shown here on the screen. The next menu that we need to deal with is this one on the bottom right. So these settings deal with wireless connections. So this is for flight mode, and this one is for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. I recommend keeping everything off just to save power. Then the next menu is for formatting a microSD card. I don't even have one in my camera. The next relevant setting is this HDMI one. Here you can select the resolution, and I recommend selecting 1080p. By the way, this menu deals specifically with the HDMI output resolution. The other settings that we change for resolution does deal with how the camera works internally. For frame rate, definitely make sure that you have either 60 or in POL mode 50p selected. Continuing to scroll down the menu, this option is for USB power. If you have it on, you can actually run the camera without an internal battery and just with USB power. You do need a good power supply for it though. Oh, there is this setting, which deals with noises beeping when you press the buttons and when you select options in the menu. I recommend keeping it off because otherwise it's quite loud for reviewers. Then the next relevant setting is this one for switching between NTSC and POL modes. So NTSC is for countries with 60 Hz electricity, and it's basically enables 60 FPS mode. And POL is for countries with 50 Hz electricity, and it switches to 50 FPS. And if you select the appropriate one for your country, it can reduce flickering from lights. However, some people prefer to use 60 FPS even in POL countries.